Majority Leader.
You know, Madam President, if you stop and listen, you can practically hear the Democrats trying to move the goalposts on Judge Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court. Remember, before Judge Kavanaugh was even named, several Democrats on the Judiciary Committee indicated they'd oppose whomever the nominee might turn out to be. The junior senator from California, for example, explained on television that whoever President Trump chose would bring about, quote, the destruction of the Constitution of the United States, as far as I can tell. That, incredibly enough, was a member of the Judiciary Committee. Of course, mere hours after Judge Kavanaugh was announced, my friend, the Democratic leader, made the announcement that has now become famous. I will oppose him with everything I've got, he said. And not long after that, another Democrat on the Judiciary Committee proclaimed that anyone supporting Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation was, quote, listen to this, complicit in the evil. Complicit in the evil. These statements are the context for every action the Democrats have taken during this entire process. These statements remind us Democrats may be trying to move the goalposts every 5 minutes, but their goal has not moved an inch. They will not be satisfied unless they have brought down Judge Kavanaugh's nomination. It started with straightforward political maneuvering. None of it worked, of course, but whatever excuses they could find to delay. First, back in June, the Democrats tried to argue the Supreme Court shouldn't confirm, Democrats tried to argue the Senate shouldn't confirm a Supreme Court justice in any even-numbered year. Any even-numbered year. Then they were reminded that Justice Kagan, Breyer, and Souter were all confirmed during midterm election years, and that argument evaporated. Next, Democrats said the process should be delayed because too few documents were available from Judge Kavanaugh's past public service. Well, then they received the most pages of documents ever produced for a Supreme Court nomination, so guess what came next? The goalposts moved down the field, and the Democrats called for delay because there were too many documents for them to read. I wish this fight could have remained in the realm of normalcy. But when none of these tactics worked, when Judge Kavanaugh demonstrated his widely acknowledged brilliance, open-mindedness, and collegiality at his confirmation hearings, some chose a darker road. The politics of personal destruction were willfully unleashed. I've spoken at length about the underhanded ways Senate Democrats have treated Dr. Ford and her allegation. In brief, for 6 weeks, Dr. Ford's confidential account passed from one Democratic member of Congress to the Democratic side of the Judiciary Committee to the Washington, D.C. lawyers that Senate Democrats handpicked for her. Then, well after Judge Kavanaugh's hearings had wrapped up, the supposedly confidential letter found its way into the press. Shoving aside proper procedure, shoving aside the accuser's plea for privacy, this, Madam President, is not politics as usual. Because let us not forget, Dr. Ford's allegation is not the only uncorroborated allegation that has been breathlessly paraded around. Oh, no. Shortly after Dr. Ford's confidential letter made its way into the press, the floodgates of mud and muck opened entirely on Brett Kavanaugh and his family. Out of the woodwork came one uncorroborated allegation after another, each seemingly more outlandish than the last. A tabloid lawyer organized a red carpet rollout for someone who wanted to accuse Judge Kavanaugh of masterminding some kind of high school drug and serial sexual assault ring, hosting one wild party after another filled with sexual violence for which there conveniently happened to be 0 witnesses. 0 witnesses, but plenty of people to refute the claims. This didn't say in the tabloids, by the way. This fantastic story was effectively read into the record of the Judiciary Committee by the ranking member, who decided it deserved a mention in her remarks during last Thursday's hearing. And every Democratic member of the Judiciary Committee seized on this outlandish tale in a formal letter in which they called on Judge Kavanaugh to withdraw his name from consideration. This is how desperate some became for any way to stop this stunningly qualified nominee. I guess upholding any standards of any kind was just too much to ask. We heard another anonymous, unattributed, and now thoroughly debunked account. This time, an anonymous accusation from Colorado alleging physical abuse 20 years ago. A sitting federal district judge quickly stepped up to bat down that anonymous smear. We heard that Judge Kavanaugh was supposedly responsible for a sexual assault on a boat in Newport, Rhode Island, until the accuser recanted the story completely, but not before many in the media had begun eating it up. In short, Democrats' mishandling of Dr. Ford's letter opened the floodgates for this deluge of uncorroborated, unbelievable mud. And the mudslide was cheered on and capitalized on at every turn by the far left that has been so eager to stop this nomination. Just politics? I don't think so. And on the other extreme, some of the other lines of attack have been completely trivial. Last night, the New York Times unleashed this major story. Get this. Judge Kavanaugh may have been accused of throwing some ice across a college bar in the mid-1980s. Talk about a bombshell. One can only imagine what new bombshell might be published today or tomorrow. But here's what we know, Madam President. One thing for sure. The Senate will vote on Judge Kavanaugh here on this floor this week. Here on this floor this week. Our Democratic friends will try to move the goalposts yet again. Just yesterday, they submitted a list of 24 people whom they wanted the FBI to interview. So I'm confident we'll hear that even the very same supplemental FBI investigation Democrats had so loudly demanded is now magically no longer sufficient. Well, after the FBI shares what they've found, senators will have the opportunity to vote. We'll have the opportunity to vote no on the politics of personal destruction. We'll have the opportunity to vote yes on this